The phrase was already there when Mia woke up, scratched into the mud outside her tent, 6 inches deep, like something had dragged a finger through wet concrete. They're already inside. She hadn't written it. She'd been alone on this stretch of Hideaway for 11 days. Her sample cases were open, her field notes soaked and scattered across the moss, pages spinning slowly in the last of the wind. She held up her left hand, the old habit, 4 fingers, a smooth scar where her thumb had been. She started collecting pages. The storm had rearranged the island. Trails she'd marked with orange tape were gone, or the tape had moved. She couldn't decide which was worse. The spruce trees dripped constantly, and the fog sat at eye level, which meant she was navigating by sound and memory. Twice, she heard something move through the undergrowth just behind her pace. She stopped both times. Whatever it was stopped to. She told herself it was a deer. Hideaway had deer. She kept telling herself that for another hour, until she found the first black tree. It wasn't charred. She checked. The bark was smooth and dark, almost oily, like it had been stained from inside. It was a Sitka spruce, maybe 200 years old, and someone had cut a door into its trunk, a real door, hinged, with a rusted latch. Around the frame, carved symbols, spirals, branching lines, something that looked like a spore print. She recognized the last one. She'd been drawing that exact symbol in the margins of her notes for 3 weeks, unconsciously, the way you doodle a word you've heard but can't place. She opened the door. The smell hit first. Formaldehyde and something sweeter underneath, like overripe fruit. The tree was hollow and deeper than physics should have allowed, opening into a concrete staircase. At the bottom, a room. Metal shelving, glass jars, a folding table with a logbook still open. The cover read Project Spora, Field Station 4, Restricted. She turned to the first flagged page. The language was bureaucratic and stripped of feeling, the way language gets when the people writing it don't want to think about what they're describing. She read for 20 minutes. She understood very little. She understood enough. On the walk back to camp, she found a raven sitting in the middle of the trail. It didn't move when she approached. Its eyes were clouded, the white of a hard-boiled egg, and its feathers had something growing between them. Pale threads, almost translucent, catching the light. It opened its beak, but made no sound. She stepped around it. 100 meters on, she found 2 more. Then a deer, standing stiff-legged in a creek, head submerged, still breathing. She started to run. The thought arrived clean and terrible. Whatever this is, it moves through living things. Back at camp, she got the sample under her portable scope. The fungus she'd been tracking for 6 weeks. The specimen she'd told her university contact was potentially revolutionary. Had a structure she'd never documented. The mycelium didn't branch randomly. It organized. Repeating geometric patterns, self-correcting, almost like circuitry. She'd seen something like it once, in a paper she'd read about theoretical fungal networks. She'd thought it was speculative. She was still staring at it when she noticed the other sample case, the one she'd found sealed near the black tree. It was open. She hadn't opened it. The bunker entrance was behind a rusted equipment shed she'd walked past 4 times. The padlock was already cut. Inside, 3 rooms, generator still running on something. The second room had filing cabinets, and in the third cabinet, 3rd drawer, Project Spora, Phase 3 results, not for distribution. She read the summary page standing up, because something in her body knew she wouldn't want to be sitting when she finished. The islands hadn't been chosen for their remoteness. They'd been chosen for their isolation, so that whatever was released here could be tracked, contained, and if necessary, denied. The footage was on a hard drive connected to a monitor that still worked. 43 video files. She watched 6. The test subjects were not volunteers. That was clear from the first 30 seconds of the first file. What happened to them took between 9 and 14 days, and the camera recorded all of it with the patient in different framing of a surveillance system. By file 4, she could see what the fungus wanted. It didn't kill its host immediately. It needed the host moving, breathing, traveling. She stopped the video. She thought about 11 days alone in the forest. She thought about the raven. The hidden log entry was handwritten, tucked inside the back cover of a Phase 2 binder. A scientist named Dr. Pauline Voss, dated October 2014. The subject in Trial 7 showed early resistance. Partial infection. We removed the compromised tissue, left thumb, first joint, and discharged her under a false diagnosis. She doesn't know what she carried out. She may never show full symptoms, or she may become the most efficient vector we've produced. Mia read it twice. She read it a third time. She set the binder down very carefully, like it was made of something that could break. Her left forearm had been itching for 2 days. She'd blamed the rain, the constant dampness, the spruce needles. Now she pushed up her sleeve with a flashlight in her teeth and looked. The skin along her inner arm had a texture, faint, pale, almost pretty, like frost on glass. She pressed it with one finger. It didn't feel like skin anymore. It felt like something with a different agenda. She thought about every trail she'd walked, every creek she'd crossed, every sample she'd handled with bare hands on day 3, when her gloves had torn and she'd told herself it was fine. She burned the samples first, then her notes, her field journal, her university correspondence. She tried the satellite phone, dead. She tried the radio in the bunker. Someone had removed a component she couldn't name. She thought about the float plane that was coming in 4 days. For days. She looked at her arm again. The pattern had moved past her elbow. She knew enough mycology to understand what efficient vector meant. She knew what she'd touched and where, and who had been near her camp on day 6 when the supply boat had docked briefly and the deckhand had helped her carry equipment. She used the bone saw from the bunker's medical kit. She was a scientist. She understood sterile procedure, and she followed it exactly, because at that point procedure was the only thing she had. Afterwards, she tied off the wound and walked to the eastern shore and sat down on a rock in the rain. The mist was lifting for the first time in weeks, and in the gray morning light, she could see across the water to the next island. She could see the trees there, black, all of them, a full forest, dark and oiled and wrong, breathing slow in the wind like something that had been waiting a very long time to be found.